Chino, you there?
I am here.
We see your screen.
I am here. Yes.
We see the blank. We see the blankness. We just don't see the animation.
We'll fix it in post.
We'll fix it in post. Yeah.
Oh shit!
Wrong camera, nigga. Definitely gonna have to fix that in post.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to take
hello.
Take the mosaic. I have to take the mosaic.
Give me a sec.
Joe Rogan is a white dude,
right?
Which and now he's a rich white dude,
right?
So none of the shit that he talks about affects him. So he likes to play the middle. You know,
right. He wants to play the middle, but he's really not succeeding.
Yeah. I mean, one side is winning over the other. So he'll do shit like hang out with Dave Chappelle and the RZA and have some black comedians on here or there. Neil deGrasse Tyson, and it talk nice shit, no problems, right? But then on the flip side, he gets these right-wing guys who comes on and they say shit and he never really challenges them. Or if he does, it's a soft challenge. Nah, that can't be true, can it?
Right.
What's the evidence on that? And then he just moves on. He doesn't really press hard because he's quote unquote not a journalist. I'm a comedian with a microphone, but you're doing journalistic endeavors. Right?
Yeah, like when he's on his podcast, he's not a comedian because he's not funny. Like I mean, unless he's got one of his comedian friends on his show, like he's not funny. He's not trying to make jokes. I mean, he doesn't make jokes the way we make jokes on our podcast. Like we are constantly.
Okay, I'll give you contrast. I'll give you contrast.
All right.
The Daily Show, is technically a journalistic show, but they crack more jokes than Joe Rogan.
Yep, they do.
You know what I'm saying? He does the same thing as they do, and I guarantee you, if the Daily Show had on somebody who said we should wipe out all white people, and they don't challenge them hard, they would be in some kind of trouble.
Right.
I mean, I think my turn with Joe Rogan kind of came with he had some white guy on the show that basically said black people were genetically inferior.
Which guy was this?
I don't remember. I saw a clip of it. The guy basically lends himself to some scientific article that they rated black people and said that they were like genetically predisposed to violence and XYZ and all this other bullshit. And that's why we have the problems in Chicago or whatever.
Oh shit. And Joe didn't challenge that shit?
He's like, nah, that can't be real. What's the study? And the dude mentions the study. And that was it. Like there was no hard press.
Yeah.
Like, dude, or like, I'm not gonna let you say that on my show. Get off.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna let somebody come up like currently right now. I think we talked about these guys before a little bit. These quote unquote alpha male trainer guys, Fresh and Fit.
Oh yeah.
Well, they just went off, like they went off on some girl who's more well known, so the bigger black community found out about these fools, and now they're digging in the crates, and they like, yeah, we don't date black women, we don't date the Kanish, the Ishas and XYZ and and I'm like, well, one dude is from the Caribbean, the other dude is probably like from Morocco or somewhere in Africa, right? So he's like, yeah, we're not down with the brown, we're not night riders, XYZ, but I'm like, your mom's a black. So like you wouldn't be here. So why would you turn around and do the shit, right? So like I wouldn't have them on my show.
I mean, I would to fucking talk shit.
No. You didn't let me finish my statement.
Oh.
Let me walk this dog.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pet your dog. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pet your dog.
I would not bring them on this show
Right.
and allow them to make a statement like that without hard pressing them on their racism.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or the misogyny within this shit that they teach. Like all the things they do on their show are problematic,
Right.
right? So I would never have them on the show and not press them hard about their bullshit. You know, from them, even the bullshit that they did on YouTube, where when people took their clips to criticize them, they want to put a copyright strike on them.
Right.
Like I would press them hard on that. I would press them hard on the shit that people dug up about them.
Right.
You know, you're telling, they got a lot of contradictory bullshit. And so for me to sit up here and let them say the shit without challenging them on it and making them have a hard answer,
Right.
that would just be whack as an individual in general. To
Right.
like just let somebody stand around you and say some asinine shit and not press it.
What's funny is for someone that just got 100 mil from Spotify a couple years ago and spent money to create some weird ass like space capsule podcasting room, only to have his old podcasting studio reconstructed, right? You would think that he'd hire fact checkers, at least one, to fact check his ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean that's the bigger thing. Is just like we've talked about shit and we've just done cursory Google searches to
Yeah.
find out evidence of to
Right.
throw against some of these dumb ideas that's floating around.
Yeah,
So
like
I'm
if
why
like if
wouldn't somebody with a ton of money just have a fact checker like this is the person we came on, do some
Yeah.
research about them, and then fact check any bullshit claims they're making.
Well, that's the thing though, right? Like, that guy, Dr. I don't want to say his name because I don't want to get a YouTube strike against us again.
Dr. Robert.
Right, that asshole. Like if he had him booked ahead of time, so a fact checker could easily fact check all of his fucking claims, before the dude even comes on the show, and Joe could have those notes in front of him, and he could just fucking fact check his ass like right then and there on the fucking spot. But he didn't.
Nope, he did not. And that's doing a disservice. And once again, he does this because the effects of his speech does not directly affect him.
Yeah.
It doesn't fuck with his money. It doesn't fuck with his living, his lifestyle. It doesn't affect anything.
In fact,
No.
I know you said that I should probably have a YouTube show where I react to Joe Rogan's, podcast. But the thing is, I don't want to give him the listen. I don't want to give him the view, to react to it, because I'd have to in order for me to be able to review or react to it. That's just one more view to his podcast that I'd have to give him. And, and after deep thought, I'm like, no, I don't want to give him that view or that listen.
Yeah, I mean that is the dirty side of being in the media game. You got to watch the shit you want to talk about.
Yeah. I'd rather people view us to talk shit about us.
Yeah, but I think one listen isn't gonna, he's been prepaid.
That's true. That
so
is
his
true.
numbers, I could see if it was a small fry.
Yeah.
If we just kept on going about them peoples.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That might send some folks his way. But Joe is the biggest shit around.
Yeah.
One listen ain't gonna kill it.
That's true. I'm a drop in the bucket of 8 million.
Like your gains will be higher than his gains from your one listen.
That's true. But I just want to tell the homies out there that, if you want to push us like crack, just go ahead and tell them that we're like Joe Rogan, only funny.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't think that we're that funny, fuck you. We don't care.
I care. He doesn't care.
But there's no accountability, like that's the thing, right? Like, and you have people like Debunk the Funk right, that do fact check them, but you know, they don't get any promotion, right? They don't get any media hype or nothing. I mean,
Yeah,
we're giving Debunk the Funk hype right now, right?
his numbers are not. I mean, his numbers are higher than mine or ours,
Yeah.
but he should be in the hundreds of thousands. But people want to listen to the fringe information more so than the factual information.
And I'll point out exactly why it is Joe Rogan is such a popular figure, right? And it's because he represents what right wingers have in their minds about what a man is supposed to be like, right? The dude is jacked, right? We'll ignore the fact that he's on, you know, testosterone treatments that help him get jacked, because he can't produce enough testosterone on his own, to keep him jacked, right? We'll ignore that. He hunts his own animals and eats his own, you know, meat that he hunts down. That's a pretty manly thing in a right winger's mind, right? He does martial arts. He's a martial arts commentator. He was on Fear Factor. Most of the stuff that happens on Fear Factor, he's probably fucking done himself, you know. So and he's funny, because I'm not gonna lie, his last stand-up, Strange Times, funny as shit. Okay, I laughed at it. I've watched it multiple times. Hilarious to me.
Look, man, I watched Joe Rogan back on that show he had back in the day, broadcast radio or some shit
Oh,
like that.
news radio.
News radio. So I
Yeah.
watched him back then. Didn't find him too funny. A few years back, this is probably like maybe 2015,
Yeah.
somewhere around there, 14, 15. I went to see him at the Ice House,
Yeah.
in Pasadena. Um, Great opening acts. The opening acts had me bent. I'm laughing. I'm watery eyed.
You
My
don't you don't
abs.
you don't happen to remember who they were, right?
No,
Try
I
to.
do not. Bunch of
Okay.
white guys.
All right.
Um,
Well, try to give them some plugs. You know, try to plug them.
um, my memory doesn't go that far back in that degree. But yeah, so I'm like, I'm laughing so hard and having such a good time. Now I have to piss after having like 2 or 3 lemonades.
Right.
But I'm holding my piss because the shit's so funny. And then
Right.
Joe comes on because I'm like, oh, they'll probably have a break between the openers and the headliner. You know,
Right.
let people cool off just a little bit. You know, in case the
Boy, were you
materials.
wrong.
Boy, was I wrong. One left off. Here comes Joe. I'm like, okay, I gotta hold my piss because I don't want to miss anything.
Right.
And then he proceeds to not be that funny.
Right.
Like his openers killed it. I'm like chuckles. The laughs per minute were at a high level. He
Right.
gets on, the laughs per minute drop. The loudness of the laughs decreased.
Right.
You know, where he became humorous,
Right.
but not laugh out loud funny.
Right.
And I regretted holding my piss for like an hour, hour and a half.
Did
to
you
watch
did
it.
you did you continue to hold your piss until after he was done, or did you like get up and go in the middle?
No, at that point, because I just kind of stayed in my seat because we're near the front row too, so we were
Yeah.
like maybe 3 or 4 rows back.
Yeah.
In the big room at the Ice House.
Yeah.
So I just continued to hold my piss until it was over because I
Yeah.
was in a zen mode of holding my piss,
Yeah.
and he wasn't making me laugh, so it wasn't like you're gonna make me laugh so hard that I'm gonna piss on myself.
Right.
Like, you know, if they would have got another opener up, I probably would have had to bounce because they were gonna make me laugh so hard that I was gonna
Right.
piss.
No lemonade jugs at the ass house for you.
Nah, no lemonade jugs. Yeah. So, you know, so I've never found him funny. My most interesting part of him was the UFC shit kind of got me in on him.
Yeah.
And then I start to watch his show.
Yeah.
And for the most part, it used to be cool. But now with all these, you know, like the conspiracy things and all that shit was funny. But then like his connection with Alex Jones of bringing Alex Jones. Oh, Alex Jones is a good friend of mine. He's not really that bad of a person. I'm like, do you see the shit that he's conjuring up for this nation? You know,
I
like
don't,
he's
not just that, right? Like just one incident should have like not like if Alex Jones was my friend, when he was saying that Sandy Hook was a red flag event, and that all of the people, all of those parents of those children that were murdered were crisis actors, I would have just said it straight up, said, Alex, we can't be friends no more. I mean, you're not just a fucking asshole, you're a fucking stochastic terrorist.
I go in before that. Like I really got got familiar with InfoWars back when Mike Brown, right?
Yeah.
And so he actually had a televised wing that was down there.
Yeah.
That was being shot at by the police. So they had hardcore footage that the police are fucking with journalists, which they're not supposed to.
Right.
Even the journalists that were, it's like, hey, get off the sidewalk or whatever. So they go in somebody's yard and they're still popping them off with rubber bullets and shit like that.
Yeah.
So I appreciated them for having that on the ground in the mix footage, right?
Right.
But then after the Mike Brown situation cooled off, I kind of saw where his head was. Like you're really conservative, you're anti-police, like you're just a conspiracy nut. But
right,
it's not funny because people actually believe you for real.
Right, because he's feeding into their confirmation bias. Let's not forget that. So those people that listen to him and believe what he says already had those ideas in their head to begin with.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's dangerous. That to feed a lie into somebody's head. You know what I'm saying? So that's my biggest problem, because like that has changed the nation. That shit probably gave birth to QAnon, motherfuckers. And then you see all the shit.
Did you see the QAnon documentary on HBO Max?
Yes, okay. I did.
All right.
So you got all of that, and so that's why it's dangerous. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm gonna leave you alone because you just pumping bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a complete outright lie. You're making up fictional bullshit, and or you're just taking the fictional bullshit that people are pushing out. They're killing babies and drinking their blood and Pizzagate and all this other shit, and you've had no real proof of anything. You're just sitting up there spouting out bullshit.
And Joe did not really push back hard on any of that shit.
No,
at all.
He was like, "Oh, he's not that bad of a guy." Da da da. He takes it like everybody is as smart and as intelligent as Joe, when we all know they're not.
Well, Joe admits on his podcast an awful lot that he's a moron. So let's not give Joe that much credit.
He says that, but he's not that big. He might have some dumb ideas, but he's not a moron. Morons don't get rich like that. Morons don't play their position like he's played it to get to this position in life.
That's true, but I think
he's not a moron.
But I can't give Joe all that much, all the credit for that. He has quite the fantastic talent manager too. So
I mean, but he has help, but he's smart enough to get that manager. You know what I'm saying? Like he's not a dumb fuck. He reads books.
That's true.
He knows shit. You know what I'm saying?
Not gonna lie, the man has read the Book of Five Rings. I would recommend he read The Art of War as well, and Bruce Lee's Striking Thoughts. Those would definitely be up his alley also. But let's go way. Hold up, let me animate this. Let's go way back in time when Joe Rogan was a young man. And let me tell you, Joe Rogan as a young man was the ultimate conspiracy fucking nut, dude. You want to talk about a conspiracy theorist? Joe believed all of that shit. That whole, aliens were in the government. Area 51 was holding aliens. Bigfoot was real. The Loch Ness Monster is still in the Loch Ness. All of that shit. Vampires, werewolves. Joe believed all of that shit. 9/11 was an inside job. All of that conspiracy bullshit, he believed it, right? And then he sort of grew out of it. I don't exactly know how. I'm sure he's probably explained it once or twice on his podcast. But he was a real huge conspiracy nut. And once a conspiracy nut, in my opinion, always a conspiracy nut. Especially if you were never ever skeptical, never questioned the conspiracy in and of itself, right? Like, you look at JFK, the JFK conspiracy, and you have to ask yourself, like, at what point does this shit get just too fucking ridiculous, right? At what point does this start violating Occam's razor? You know, like the simplest explanation is usually the most correct one, right? Usually, but sometimes, just sometimes, that rabbit hole does indeed go pretty fucking deep.
Yeah. I mean, with JFK, I don't think we have all the truths about that.
And I don't think we ever will now, because all the people that were, around at that time are probably fucking dead.
No, they're not, and that's why we don't know. As soon as everybody involved of power are dead, the Freedom of Information Act is going to allow us to know what really happened.
I don't know what you're talking about. The Freedom of Information Act, we could have gotten, we actually didn't the Biden administration release more notes on the Kennedy assassination?
I'm not for sure.
Chino, you there? We see.
I am here.
We see your screen.
I am here. Yes.
We see the blank. We see the blankness. We just don't see the animation.
We'll fix it
Yeah.
in post.
We'll fix it in post. Yeah.
Oh shit!
Wrong camera, nigga. Definitely gonna have to fix that in post.
Yeah. We're gonna. I'm gonna have to take.
Hello.
Take the mosaic. I have to take the mosaic.
Give me a sec.
You're gonna have to take the mosaic editing.
I see. Yeah. The Mac crashed, so it fucked all my preferences up. So give me 1 sec. Commiserate amongst yourselves.
No worries. But yeah, no, Joe was a huge conspiracy nut, and I don't know what made him change a lot of his opinions about conspiracies, but he has actually tampered, and he's been tampered down a bit. But like every now and again, like with this whole COVID thing, that conspiracy trigger, right? Like he'll believe the conspiracy before he'll actually believe the actual facts, because at some point, like you have to actually educate yourself about how viruses work on a rudimentary level. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, if someone asks, like, why isn't AIDS so contagious? Well, look at the way it fucking spreads. Like, you gotta fuck somebody before anybody can catch AIDS or get a blood transfusion. Like,
you gotta fuck somebody to expose them
yeah,
to even getting it.
yeah, like it can only be transferred through fluid exchange, right? Not even kissing. Like, it's got to be some specific fucking fluids. The way it transfers itself, like, until AIDS, right, finds a way to like become contagious by spreading through the air, we won't have to worry about that shit. Imagine if AIDS, people who caught AIDS caught it by just breathing on somebody. Can you imagine that shit? Man, but it's entirely possible that AIDS could evolve to that, because viruses evolve, because Mother Nature is a mountain of cunt.
Well, I was
Evolution, baby.
I was listening to a virologist on another pod, and they basically stated some things that we actually said, which was, or at least I said it, because if Ebola would have made it spread,
Yeah,
and they had, because like I think now they have an Ebola vaccine.
right.
So if there was a visual component to COVID, like there is with Ebola,
Yeah.
or contagious level, where like you sweat on somebody else and they got it. And
So
Ebola,
so in other words, what you're saying, if COVID made people's assholes come out of their mouth,
yes, people would be running. They'd be running for the shot. You know what I'm saying? Because like Ebola is a 50-50. You either beat it or you die, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
the death toll would be higher, and it would be more serious, because we would have 50% of the people catching it would get it. You still be having to wash your hands and sanitize. It's crazy. So that shit'll still be off the fucking charts. And then somebody will say, "Hey, take this shot and we all good. And motherfuckers would line up for that shit. You know,
Right.
it's just that this shit looks too familiar. Like, oh, I got a sore throat. You know,
Right.
like right now, my job has. We got like the 6th fucking outbreak since Christmas,
Right.
and I guarantee you, it's from motherfuckers who haven't gotten vaccinated yet.
Yeah,
Guarantee.
speaking of outbreaks, Vegas just posted on Friday, I believe, a record number of COVID infections. So people are on some fuck shit.
Yep. Yep, they are. Yep, they are. And the fact that, they called it, the what is it, the Kung Flu? That right there, that alone, they gave it a catchy ass fucking name. And who
Fucking racist.
and who gave him that fucking nickname?
45.
45. I mean,
45.
45 took it from someone else. I know that much. And then he started running with it.
Well, he's the first person I heard say it.
Yeah, that's true. He is.
Pinche way.
Fuck that puto.
But
Fuck the Pluto. I get it now.
when you can live in a world where this type of shit, the shit that you talk about, does not affect your life,
Yeah.
you could say all kind of mad shit.
You like that shit, homies? Listen to the whole podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Like and subscribe, and check out another video. Till next time, homies. Peace.
Ship